Me as welcome Ife Adesola, our guest speaker for today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ife. I'll just stop sharing now so you can take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here, Ediri. Thank you so much for inviting me to this month's edition of the SuperMoms series. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we're going to take this off from here. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, great. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much, Ediri, for having me. I'm super pumped and excited to be sharing with every one of you here this afternoon. It's still morning for me, but I'm so excited to be here. And just like Ediri said, parenting is it's a lot of work, and that's just the truth. And a lot of times parents don't quickly accept that to be an effective parent, to be an intentional parent, it requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of effort. You have to be, you have to be present 100% and to be ready to give it your best shot. That's what I always tell parents. No parent, there are no perfect parents anywhere. There are no perfect families. There are no experts in parenting. I'm not an expert in parenting. And I don't think that God even expects perfection from us, but I know that God wants us to be priority parents. God wants us to be present. He wants us to do the best that we can, because it's a lot of responsibility when you're given a whole human being, to nurture and to mold. And the truth of the matter is that every child comes with their own unique personality. Just like you have your own unique personality, no matter how much your child looks like you, that child is still different. That child still has his own unique personality. And I believe that the best gift that you can give your child is the gift of unconditional love and acceptance. And to be able to love and, unconditionally love and accept your child, you need to know that child. You need to know who that child is, and you need to accept that child for who he or she is. People like to say that our children, they come in like clean slates, like empty slates. And I'm like, no, children don't come in like clean slates. They come in with their personalities right from birth. That's why you would have two children of the same parent. And, one is sleeping throughout the night at 3 months. The other one is not sleeping the night until he's 1, or, even 18 months at times. So you can see that, you have one child that allows everybody carry him or her, and you have another one that is not, is not into this social thing, like just leave me with my mom and my dad. So, that tells you that children come in with unique personalities. No child comes in.
Sorry about that. I think our guest speaker, maybe there's a problem with the connection from her end. Just give me a few seconds and I'll reach out to her immediately. Thank you.
I'm so sorry about that. Sorry, can you all hear me now? I just realized that I was out of the
meeting. Yes, we can.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so please make me co-host again so that I can share my screen. I'm so sorry about that. So, children come in with their unique personality, and as parents, we have the responsibility of discovering those unique personalities and nurturing our children in a way that brings out the best in them. When you just bring your child from the hospital, when you just give birth to a child, you are so excited, you believe the best of that child brings you so much joy and all that. And then when that child starts to grow and you start to see the child's weaknesses, what happens a lot of times is that you start, kind of unconsciously adjusting your expectations from that child. You kind of start reducing what you expect from that child just based on the weaknesses that you have discovered in that child. But the truth of the matter is that every child comes loaded with potential. Every child comes with their unique purpose and their unique potential, and you have to discover that as a parent. So what I'm going to be doing with you this afternoon, by God's grace, is to remove the stress out of your parenting and moving you from family stress to family best. Because when you understand how to connect with your child and how to connect with your child's personality and your child's giftedness, it goes a long way in helping you relate better with that child. Many parents, your typical day is filled with shouting from morning till night, shouting, and a lot of times the things that you shout about are the things you've been shouting about forever, and that should let you know that the shouting and the screaming and the getting irritated and getting agitated is not working. And if something is not working, then there has to be a better way to do this. So what we're going to be doing today, and this material is from, my John Maxwell team, is to help us understand each of the personality types. For many of us that are familiar with personality test and all these personality types, the one that I'll be discussing today is called DISC. It's called DISC, and it's the DISC. It stands, I would explain what that stands for, but this is tailored towards the John Maxwell team, and it focuses on learning how to bring out the leader, the best in your child, and also learning how to communicate effectively with your child, which is what, the most of our parenting responsibility is all about. So what I'm going to share with you today is to help you recognize some of the behavior, characteristics in your child. So, at the end of this session today, when you see your child behaving in a particular way, you are able to relate with a better understanding. Oh, okay, this is the kind of personality this child has. I don't have to worry about this. Like I said, this is to take the stress out of your parenting. And, I'll be sharing more about that even as we move forward. And it's also to recognize your child's areas of strength, because when you recognize your child's areas of strength, you are able to help that child maximize that area of strength. One of my favorite books is this book called 15 Laws of Growth, 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And one of my favorite laws is the law of awareness. The law of awareness says to know yourself, to grow yourself, you have to know yourself. The truth of the matter is that there is the best gift you can give even to yourself as a parent is to know yourself, to understand yourself. And the best gift you can give to your child is to know your child and to understand your child as well. A lot of people ask me that, how do you get to do so many things and you get to do them well? And my answer to them is very simple. I know myself. I know what my areas of strength are. I play in my areas of strength. So it looks like everything I'm doing it well, because I understand where my strengths are and I maximize that. I don't play in my area of struggle, in my place of struggle. I allow other people to fill in that gap. But because I know myself, I know how to be the best version of myself, and I'm able to, project that in everything that I do. And that is one gift you can give to your child as well. When you recognize their areas of strength, you are able to help them maximize that and play in their areas of strength, even when it comes to choosing a career. These days you have children going to college, and within the first 1-2 years, they've changed their majors like 2-3 times, because, they're still in that place of trying to discover what they want, trying to discover what their strengths are, trying to discover who they are. And, time waits for no man. They keep on making all these decisions by trial and error. And, it takes them a while before they finally find themselves and begin to play in their areas of strength. We can avoid all of that and take the stress of all of that from our children by understanding and recognizing their areas of strength and helping them to maximize those areas of strength. And another goal for today is I'm going to be sharing the characteristics that can indicate that your child is under pressure, so that you can avoid putting your child in those kind of situations. And then what could be a great motivator for them to be the best that they can be, to be the best versions of themselves. And my favorite part is I'll also be sharing a way to connect with your children using loving statements that speak to their areas of giftedness. So let's go right into it. So as I mentioned earlier, we have these 4 different personality types, and the first one is the D in the DISC personality, and the D stands for dominant and direct. A child that has a D personality is typically outgoing. It's the outgoing child, and this child is task-oriented. It's about what needs to be done, and the one needs to be done, and they are ready to do it. They are quick to take charge and make decisions. one thing about children with deep personalities is that they need a lot of appreciation and loyalty. They only roll with people who support them and people who, you know, who give them what they want, who give them what they need. And a lot of times as parents, the areas of stress or clash that you can have with this child is that when you're telling this child, you know, the truth that, you know what, you can't be doing this, you can't be doing that. A lot of times that child sees like, mommy is not on my side or daddy is not on my side. So, you know, if that is not managed properly, there could be a lot of tension, you know, between you and a child that has a deep personality, because for them, it's about loyalty. It's about who is on my side, who likes what I like, who wants to do what I want to do, you know, because they are natural leaders, they are born leaders. So they need to be nurtured to know how to manage the kind of personality that they have so that they don't end up, you know, using people, so that they don't end up, you know, being just task-oriented and not people-oriented. You know, children who have this kind of personalities are more likely, you know, to be task-oriented and, you know, just about what needs to be done and who is on my side and who is supporting me. They are generally not excited to spend time with people who don't support them. So if they are doing something that you don't like, or you are telling them, no, I'm not with you on this, they see you as an enemy, right? So, you know, that's why you have to be very conscious of how you relate with a child that has a deep personality. This child has a strong personality. You know, I have a little girl that comes to my house to play with my kids from time to time. She has a deep personality. I don't even need, you know, from our behavior and all that. For her, it's all about who wants to play this game. That's when you're a friend. When you're not playing the game or when you're not supporting her, she doesn't care about her, and literally does not care. You know, it bothers me a lot that, you know what, we need to help this child, you know, balance this. So, you know, these children, some of the behaviors we see is that they are born leaders, they are dynamic, decisive, goal-oriented, they seek practical. They are the kind of kids that will give you solutions, right? And as I'm going through these personality traits, it applies to adults as well. I want you to try and see, and at the end of my presentation, I would like to see if any parents were able to identify what you think your personality type may be. And, you know, because helping you, when you even understand your own personality type, it would help you to know how to better relate to your children. So, you know, this child leads and organizes is the child that, you know, when, you know, they're in a group and something, they are the ones that are naturally, you know, likely to take the lead, to take charge and to tell everybody what they need to do and what needs to be done. If there is an emergency, they are the kind of children or adults who would quickly spring into action and say, okay, let's do it this way. And, you know, this is the solution. They are very solution oriented. Some of the stress signals for children with this kind of personality is that, like I said, they are strong-willed. They are strong-willed, so you have to be very intentional about how to help them to balance that thin line between being determined and strong-willed and being stubborn. So, you know, that's and they can be rebellious and angry, demanding and controlling as well. You know, this little girl that I'm talking about, you know, this just like practically describes her. You know, children like that, they want everybody, if this is the game they want to play, they want everybody to play that game. If you're not playing that game, you are the enemy. You know, you have children like that, if they are not controlled and if they are not properly nurtured, those are the kind of kids that will tell their parents, I hate you, you know, I don't like you, you're not my friend, you know, really can get out of hand if you don't properly manage that kind of child. And, you know, because all these stress signals, when you notice it, like I always like to tell parents, there is no, except a child has a mental problem, which many children do not have. Children don't just misbehave. When children misbehave, you need to find out what is behind that misbehavior. You need to find out what is going on in their minds or in their hearts that is making them to respond or react that way. So, you know, these are some of the stress signals for a child with a deep personality. And for this kind of child, one of the ways by which you can motivate them is to give them an opportunity to be in charge of something. You know, if you have a child that you can say, okay, you know what, why don't you help us with this? You know, just giving them that sense of, you know, they're in charge and they are taking responsibility for something. You know, not be in charge without control. Like, oh, okay, why don't you lead us in this game? And then letting them also understand that, you know what, you can't be in charge all the time, right? There are times that other people will be in charge. And when other people are in charge, you have to give them an opportunity to also be in charge and you have to support them as well. You know, some of the words you can use with kids with this kind of personality, that I like that you are very confident in yourself. You know, I like that you set your mind to something and you go after it. I like that you're committed. You know, encourage the strengths, because there are a lot of strengths to this personality. The truth of the matter is that all the personality types have their unique strengths. That's why as parents, you cannot afford to compare your children. You cannot afford, you know, to say, why can't you be like your brother, or why can't you be like your sister? You know, I encourage parents that even if there is a particular personality trait that one of your children have, and you think it's good for every member of the family to have it, instead of saying, why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your sister? You need to detach that trait from that child and say, you know what? Maybe what that child does is that child cares, really is a very caring child. That's the child that will ask you, mommy, are you doing okay? Mommy, are you, and you like it. Instead of now liking that child, because I actually, spoke with a parent a while ago, and she has 2 kids. You know, her daughter is, you know, she doesn't send her, right? That according to her, you know, she just on her own and all that. But her son is the one that say, mommy, are you okay? Mommy, do you need anything? But so she kind of unconsciously started to like the boy more than the girl, right? Because the boy was making her more happy and doing the things that she loved. So I said, look, instead of doing that, I feel like, if I can't help it, you know, I just love this boy more than her. And I said, no, you can't. One thing, there's nothing. You may not be you may not be able to help loving one child more than the other. But one thing that I always tell parents is that if you find yourself in that situation, please, and please, I have 3 words for you. Don't show it. Don't ever show it that you love one child more than the other, you know, because you don't want sibling rivalry. You don't want a situation where you are creating tension in your home. So if you see a child doing something I really love, why don't you say, you know what, being caring is a very good thing. And I think every member of this family should be caring. So why can't we? So you know what, let's do this. Everybody in this household now, we want to develop this attitude of being kind and caring, you know, and teach them that thing that child is doing that is making you happy. Throw it open. Don't say, let's start being caring like David is. No, throw it open as something that, you know what, let every member of this family, we can work on being more caring, you know, asking after one another and all that. So in this way, you have detached it from that child. You've made it an objective thing that everybody now is not trying to be like David, but everybody is trying to be caring and to be caring and be kind. So, you know, that's a way to go about that. So, you know, encouraging this child, you know, encouraging their strengths. You know, it's good that they are strong and resilient and, you know, leader and all that. But then at the same time, you don't want them to become conceited. You don't want them to begin to love tasks and activities much more than people, because that is one of the downsides of this personality type. And I don't like to call it weaknesses. I like to call it growth areas. And I'm going to share that. And then we move on to the next personality type. So for the D-wired child, like I said, is a born leader, is dynamic, goal-oriented, seeks practical solutions, excels in emergencies. There are growth areas for a child with this kind of personality is that you need to, on a consistent basis, teach them to realize that others may be right as well. Because for a D-wired child, he is right all the time. It's either his way or the highway. Those are the growth areas for a D child. They don't want to listen to any other person. I was talking to a child, you know, that administered this test to him, and I found out it's a D. And I was just trying to, during the debrief session that I was having with him, I was talking with him, and, you know, he started to give, and he was like, auntie, you're right. He's a teenager. And then he started to give me examples, like, give me examples of times that you think that, you know, you just take charge without letting other people, you know, shine, or without considering other people. He's in a basketball team, and he said, you know, at times in the game, I don't give the ball to anybody else. He just doesn't doesn't pass the ball. And that's not the way, that's not a team spirit, right? Because he wants to do all the shooting and the passing and everything. And, you know, that makes his coach mad, right? That makes his team members mad. And then it's like, you know, when one thing that this child will also struggle with, like I said, this personality, they want acceptance and love. And if parents don't, you know, proactively manage the personality, this is the child that will do anything to get attention. And, you know, attention for a child is attention, whether positive or negative, it doesn't bother them, as long as they're getting the attention. So you want to help this child understand that, you know what, learn to put other people first. Practice encouraging other people. Make it not just all about you all the time. You know, if you don't like me, then you are my enemy. No. help them to learn how to lead and not push, because they are born leaders. A lot of times they get, as children, if they are not properly managed, they just keep on pushing. As in, you have a child that is a D and has younger ones. He just wants them to do everything he wants them to do. He's pushing, he's not leading. So, you want to encourage that child to lead and not push. You want to encourage that time to take time for his family, because this is the kind of child that would put tasks above people. Just like I said, as in what needs to be done is what needs to be done. And this child needs to learn how to value people, think about other people. How to think about other people. When you see this child displaying those kind of behaviors where they're not thinking about others and they're just thinking about themselves, you need to encourage them. Why don't you think of something good you can do for your siblings this week? Or why don't you think of one of your friends that you can do something for them to make them happy this week? Because this child serving others and putting others first doesn't come to them naturally. There are growth areas for them and you need to encourage them to do that. Okay, so I'm going to go straight to the I in the personality type, and that's the inspirational and influential child. That's the child, that's the party, the life of the party. These people are typically outgoing and people-oriented. That's where they differ from the D personality. They are the life of the party. That's the child that has so many friends. When they get into the room, before you know it, everybody's around them. That's the I person, and this person is the sweet talker as well. I don't know if you have those kind of, I have a I wired child, and in fact, when he was in second grade, when I had a one-on-one with his teacher was like, oh my God, as in he is a sweet speaker, a sweet reader, right? This is a child that will just, persuade you, that will sweet talk you into saying yes to anything, and all that. They are most comfortable with people who enjoy their enthusiasm and zest for life. They are the children that you take to a party, they will never want to leave that party. My son will tell me, I would just want to stay here forever. I don't want to ever go home, right? So, those are and one thing about this personality type is that they like to play a lot. Everything for this child is play. Everything is play. If there is no play in it, he's not interested in it. And, and these children as well, they need recognition and approval. They need to know that, you approve them. They need to know that you recognize them. They need to be seen. Because they are people-oriented. People-oriented is the core of their personality. They are outgoing. They make friends easily. So, for instance, if you have a child, still talking about comparing children, don't compare them. If you have a child that makes friends easily, but has a sister who can never even keep a friend, you don't have to compare. You don't have to say, why can't you make friends like your sister? Why can't you make friends like They are different personalities. Like I said, I have an I wired child. I have another child that I'll still get to. I don't want to preempt myself, but it's more of a C wired. While this child of mine will be in a party and say he doesn't want to go home forever, the other one will be in the party, and before I know it, he'll be talking to me, Mommy, when are we going home, right? Because that's not him. He needs to leave. You can't say, why can't you be like your brother, enjoy the party? No, that's not the way to bring out the best in them. Let them, like I said earlier, understanding your child and accepting them is one of the best gifts you can give to that child to help that child thrive and be the best that God has called them to be. So these children are emotional a lot of times. They are inspirational. They have high energy. They are creative. They are talkative. My son will say, Mommy, can I tell you something? Mommy, and I don't want to stop him, right? So even no matter how tired I am, I want to listen to him because he wants to talk. So if you have this kind of child, you can't be shutting him down all the time, because after a while, this child will stop coming to you. And that's when parents will start saying, I'm losing this child. He's not talking to me again. You need to understand him. This child is high energy. He gets his energy from playing and being with friends and being with people. And I'll talk about, as I'm talking about each personality type, I want you to be thinking about your kids and thinking about, how they fit into this personality types and, what you've been noticing about them, because that's extremely, extremely important. So the stress signals for a child with an I personality is that this child can be impatient, right? When they want something, they want it immediately. They are, when they can be loud. They can be loud as well. So instead of you are too loud, they are too noisy and all that, you understand their personality and you're just trying to nurture them to nurture the strength of that personality and to help the growth areas of that personality. Like I said earlier, this child seeks attention. They don't care whether it's negative or positive, as long as they are being seen. They are recognized as in they can see that, everybody can see them, because that's how they thrive. And they can have big emotional displays. When my son was younger, and I used to tell people, like, there was a crying competition, he will win it without any without any effort, because he can cry, as in he can cry and cry. And it used to really frustrate me. In fact, there was a time I had to speak with a child psychologist. What is it? As in, this child just cries and cries and cries. And, then I was focused on, I just want him to stop crying. Just stop crying over everything. But, the question the psychologist asked me, what was a life changer for me, because he asked me, like, okay, instead of focusing on, you just want this child to stop crying, what life lesson are you trying to teach your child? And it was that was when it dawned on me that, okay, maybe I was focusing on the wrong thing, right? What life lesson am I trying to teach him? I'm trying to teach him that life doesn't always go your way. I'm trying to teach this child how to handle disappointment and how to handle no. So that's the thing I'm trying to focus on. So I started to change my conversation with him and helping him to understand that, things will not always go your way. And when things don't go your way, you have to learn how to handle disappointment. You have to learn how to handle no. You cannot get yes all the time. There are times you will get no, and you will get no for your own good and all that. And, I started to see, when he started to see the reason, and I always told him that, look, you can see that this crying is not working, because even after you cry, I don't change my mind. So crying is not working. There are the children that may roll on the floor, at the store or something, so you need to understand that, these are some of the stress signals you see from that child. For these children, give them opportunities to socialize and to talk. You just have to, because that's where they recharge. That's where they get their energy. That's where they get their joy from. Take them to the park. Take them, there's a party, make sure that you are there and you are there on time, so that they can enjoy the fullness of that party. The kind of words you can speak to them. I like that you are fun to be with. I like that you're a friendly person. I like your enthusiasm. It's contagious, because these children, they're inspirational. They can go on to become motivational speakers, actors, creative people, and all that. So you don't want to stifle that in them. You want to encourage it. You want to, acknowledge that you see it, that, I like it, that you're a friendly person and all that, but just helping them to find the balance between their strengths and their weaknesses. So that's why I'm going to talk next about the strengths of this personality type. Okay, so the strength of the I-wired child is, like I said, is outgoing. He makes friends easily. He's emotional. He's inspirational. He has high energy. This is the child that you take to a party, and the child, he can dance from the beginning of that party to the end of it. He would be the one to do all the games and win all the prizes and all that, because that's just who they are. They are creative and they are good speakers. They are good speakers. They are good speakers, and you need to recognize that and let them know that you know what their strengths are and encourage those strengths. There are growth areas, like I said, for those children. I'm not going to call them weaknesses, but those are areas that you have to, you have to work on with your child. You have to teach them to keep their promises, because part of they are good speakers, like they can talk. They can, in the spur of the moment, in the high energy and all that, make promises that they will not keep. Right. So you need to teach them to keep their promises. They are the kind of kids that will most likely, submit their assignments late, their homework, they will do it at the last minute, or they would not even turn it in at all. They are the ones that they will go late. They will be late. They would wake up late. They can be late for school. As in, those are kind of the things you would have with them. So you have to encourage them. Like an I-wired child that I had to, consult and, debrief with him and his parents. When I got to this point, his parents were like, yes, that's him. He will not wake up on time. He will not submit. So I said, okay, let's do it this way. Number one, does he have an alarm? He has a phone. Okay, he's a teenager, right? Teach him to start to set alarms, right? When he's if he's supposed to wake up at 6, let the alarm start, set one alarm for 5, set one for 5:30, set one for 6, just encouraging him, to be more responsible. Then get him a calendar or a planner, put it in his room, all his schedules, every assignment that he has, you have to keep on encouraging him to put it on that schedule. Because, I-wired children, they just want to play all the time. So you have to help them. Don't just say, yeah, you are too playful. What is wrong with you? This one and that, and you just get frustrated. No, once you understand that this is a personality of a child, you help that child work on their growth areas. So, and then helping this child to listen more as well, because these personality types, they like to talk. They like to talk, and they also need to learn how to listen. So that you are not just doing, because it's not everybody that likes to be talked to and talked to and talked to without giving an opportunity to talk as well. So, even as much as this child likes to talk, you need to teach this child how to learn to listen as well, to be a good listener, because this is something that will not come naturally to them, because they are just so people-oriented and all that. They can get carried away with, just being the one doing all the talking. You have to teach them how to learn to listen, how to be more punctual. If they have to teach them how to teach them calendaring, time blocking, to make sure that they are on top of their task, and also helping this child. You can, maybe a sibling, an older or a younger sibling, to hold them accountable. That David said his assignment is due on Thursday, but he's going to get it done by Wednesday. Get a sibling to be on his neck, to be reminding him that, how far have you done it? So, in this way, you're also creating a bond between them, as siblings, but then you are helping your child work on his growth areas as well. So I'm going to go. So for a child like that, he needs to be in a career that will give him recognition. Just like I said, it could be an actor, or, a motivational speaker. It could be an attorney as well. It could be, any career that will give him expression, that would help him, to be the the inspirational and influential person that he is. And then I go to the S personality in the DISC personality traits, and that S stands for steady and supportive. And steady and supportive. The S personality, they are typically easygoing and relaxed. They are patient, well-balanced, sympathetic, and reliable. They need a peaceful environment. One thing about the S personality, their environment has to be steady. An S personality type, for instance, is someone who does not like surprises. They like to know what is going to happen. I'm a very high S-wired personality, so I'll use myself as an example as I go through this particular personality type. S personality children don't want surprises. They want to know what is going to happen. They want to know, they need a steady environment. They want peace. They are easygoing, they are relaxed, and they love to serve. They love to be able to do something for someone else. They are most comfortable as part of a team, and they easily defer decisions to others, but need to remember to make their own choices. One very strong thing about S personality is that they don't make decisions on time. An S child, you take her to the store and she won't just be able to make up her mind on what she wants, on the kind of toy that she wants, or, the kind of birthday party that she wants to have. I'm a typical S, and I don't know if, let me give you a typical example of that. As in, I'm a S personality, right? I'm the person that would go on the internet. Maybe I find a pair of shoes that I really love and put it in the cart. And for the next 2 weeks, I have not made up my mind whether I want to buy it or not. And by the time I finally say, okay, let me buy those pair of shoes, it's sold out, right? As in, it's gone. So, S personalities, they don't make up their minds on time, but, these are people that are so peaceful. They are not confrontational. So one thing that can happen with an S child as well is to not really express what's in their mind. An S personality is someone who just wants everybody to be happy, right? Is just easygoing. And, typically, if you ask an S personality, is this dress looking nice? And the dress is not looking nice, she won't say it, right? It's not that bad. Maybe you could put a jacket on it or something, as in you just don't want to. So, for an S child, a lot of times, saying their minds and speaking up doesn't come naturally to them. You have to encourage them to be able to say what's on their mind. You have to encourage them to be able to be able to express themselves. So an S person is steady, is supportive. That's the person that loves to serve. Just wants everybody to be happy and all that. And some of the behaviors we would see, like I said, is easygoing, is well balanced, is quiet but witty, agreeable. As in, you would hardly see an S person that is confrontational, and this person is a good listener as well. They help and look out for others. They're consistent, reliable, and dependable. As in, these are the people that can, I always make fun of myself. Like, I can eat the same thing every day for a whole year. As in, some people can, and my husband is like quite the opposite, right? If he ate, maybe he ate bread yesterday, and today I'm often like, but I ate bread yesterday. And in my mind, I'm like, so I ate bread yesterday, that's what you guys did today. But just that once I find something, as in, I'm the person that will go to my favorite restaurant and I order the same thing every time. As in, that one dish that I've tasted and I like is the same one I order. If I go there for the next day, it's the same it's the same order, you know. So, you know, that's those are some of the typical characteristics of an S child. So instead of saying, what is this? Why don't you do something else? Why don't this child just likes a steady environment? This child just wants stability. This child just wants an assurance that, you know, everything, nothing has changed, right? So, you know, if you're trying to introduce something new to this child, you have to be mindful of that, right? And helping the child see, you know, maybe the reason why that thing is better than what he or she has been used to, instead of complaining that, what is it? Your sister has been doing something different. Yeah, no, you can't do that, because that is just not the personality of that child. So you have to be careful about that. So the stress signals for this child is, as much as they're submissive, they can be stubborn as well, because, you know, once they've believed in something and they've supported it, you know, they just keep on supporting it. So, you know, depending on the threats, that they don't want their security threatened at all. You know, and I gave the example of not liking surprises. I don't like surprises. And I want to know what will happen. If I'm having a birthday party, I want to know what will happen from A to Z. Don't surprise me. I said, whatever it is that is going to happen, I want to be aware. Do you understand? Because, you know, that's just the kind of that personality. They just like everything being predictable. They reach out for relationship even stronger. And they go out of their way to keep the peace. You know, I'm sure many of us will realize that you have children like that. So to motivate this child, emphasize that you need their help, because what makes them thrive, you know, is being able to give to others, being able to serve. You know, for the longest time, my husband couldn't understand how, you know, I'll be so tired, and then maybe I hear somebody needs something and I just jump up to help. I'm like, where did you get that energy from? That helping that person is what gives me the energy, right? But he couldn't understand it for the longest time, because it was like, what is this? As in, so, you know, giving them opportunities to help you, you know, and giving them an additional boost of confidence by ensuring that they have what they need to succeed. Like I said, as children, they want a stable environment. They want a stable environment. And, you know, saying things to them like, I like that you're a caring person. I like that you try and get along with others. I like that you're compassionate. You know, just encouraging those strengths in them. And I'm going to look at their strengths. They're easygoing. They're well-balanced, agreeable, good listeners, you know, consistent and all that. For the growth areas for the S personality, they have to get comfortable speaking up. So, you know, if you have an S-wired child, you have to encourage that child to speak up. You know, I had a parent who came to me and I was like, that I'm worried that there's something going on with my child. She doesn't talk. You know, she's always in her room. You know, I'm just afraid that maybe she's doing something. She's doing this, and she was just on, and it was obvious that she was so anxious and worried and all that. So I said, okay, you know what? Can you just let me have this child for, you know, I had a mastermind that I was, you know, taking with teenagers. Like, can you just give me the child for 4 weeks? Let me interact with her. Let me talk to her. Let me even, you know, do a personality assessment for her and know what kind of personality that she is. I'm sure you may not even have anything to worry about. And I started interacting with this child. I saw how smart, how intelligent, how deep this child is. You know, the S personality types, they are deep, you know, because they are quiet and all that. So they do a lot of reflections and all that. And I was like, you know, my very even first week with the child, and the parent called me, I'm like, okay, so what's happening? Did you talk to them? And I'm like, you don't have anything to worry about. There is nothing going on with this child. It's just the kind of personality that she has, you know, that she's quiet and she draws her strength from being on her own. You know, so when you understand that and you recognize that, you won't frustrate the child because you have started frustrating this child. Come out of your room, talk to me, this one, that. You can do that. But, you know, you have to do it in an encouraging way, in a nurturing way, and not in a way that maybe your brother and your sister are here. Why are you in your room by yourself? That child's personality is just different. And then you need to encourage that child to always say what they mean. You know, like the example that I gave earlier, they just don't want to offend anybody. You know, so there are a lot of times that, you know, what you should have said is that dress doesn't look good, you know, wear something else. But the typical S person would say, it's okay, you know, it's okay, and all that. They won't just want to say exactly what's in their mind. So you have to help them to also move into action. Like I said, it takes them time to make decisions. They don't make up their minds on time. and don't say, I don't care, make a choice. You have to just choose something. No, encourage them and help them to learn to take action to cure worry, because an S personality is someone who would, worry a lot, because they want everything to be perfect. They want everything to be exactly the way they planned it. Like I said, they don't like surprises. They like everything predictable. So those are part of the ways that you can help your child. And an S-wired child can, there are so many professions that they can take, that they can go into as well, that suits their personality. For me, I'm an attorney, right? And I always tell people that for me, being an attorney is even more like a calling, because it just perfectly fits my personality, right? So I don't struggle, to do my work, because it's just me. It's me. And that's the way everybody should be. Everybody should live in their sweet spot. Everybody should play in their areas of strength and not in their areas of struggle. So the last one that I'm going to talk about today is the C-wired child. That's the last, that's the C, the last word in the DISC personality assessment. And this C-wired child is calculated and competent. These are smart, genius kids, right? Typical professions for the C-wired is like software developer, accountant, because they are given to details. Lawyers, scientists. I'm an SC, right? My very highest personality trait is the S, and then the next highest is the C. So I'm a high S and a high C as well. Scientists, computer engineers, financial analysts, they are typically reserved and task-oriented as well. And they like to do research. They're creative and orderly. They are organized. They need accuracy in everything they do. I have a son that, is very, C-wired as well. This boy, typically, when he was maybe 4 or 5, if you ask him to turn off the tap, right? Maybe he's turning off the tap in his bath. He's the child that will turn off that tap, move back, and check to see that tap is exactly in the middle where it's supposed to be. So, if you have that kind of child, as in, he needs accuracy in everything he does. As in, it's interesting. It's funny that just at that young age, just 4, he was doing that. Yesterday, it's funny that, I was preparing to do this today, right? So, I've been thinking about it and all that. So yesterday, they are on holiday. So I took them out to play and all that. And, they were there for 3 hours and all that. And then we came back home. I was tired. Everybody, had a shower. I had a shower. And they wanted me to play a game with them, right? They wanted me to play a particular game. And they had told me while we were out. And I said, okay, no problem. When we get home, we'll play. For me, being an S-wired person, right? An S-wired person, they recharge by being alone, right? They are not the outgoing and everything kind of people. So that's why you need to understand it. So I knew that for me to be able to play this game without snapping and shouting and getting irritated, I needed a break. So when we both had our showers and all that, I said, and they had started playing the game, children, they're never tired. So I told them, I said, you know what, I need a break. I need a 15-minute break. I just need to lie down and just recharge, and then I'll come back and then we'll play this game together. So they all said yes and all that. And then my C-wired child said, okay, that's fine. Let's set a timer. I'm like, oh God, no, don't set any timer, please. When I'm ready, I'll join you. But, it shows you the kind of personality that this child has. They need accuracy in everything. They're most comfortable with details. People with details, people, but are drawn to people who are more outgoing. And they need to remember it's okay to seek out solitude. A C-wired person gets their recharge from being alone. So if you have a C-wired child who just likes to be on his own, is a deep thinker, and one of the things about a C child is that they overthink things, right? Because they are so detail-oriented, they are deep thinkers, they can't have that tendency to overthink things. They are very creative, they are neat and organized. This child of mine, right from when he was 3 years old in preschool, his teacher used to call him the perfect child. That is the only child in the class that would go and throw something in the trash and make sure the trash is closed properly, make sure that trash can is in the right place at that young age. So, they seek perfection in everything they do. A C-wired child or a C-wired person, just like I said, I have a high C personality as well, will do 10 things and maybe 9 out of it came out right and 1 didn't come out right. and all they will think about is that one that didn't come out right? They will forget all the 9 that came out right. They would overthink why that one thing didn't happen the way they expected it to and all that. So, those are, they easily see problems or errors. Everybody has looked at this letter in the office and they've all said it's okay. When you give it to the C-wired person, that's when the C-wired person will see that, oh, you spelled Peter with 2 T's. He's the one that knows that there is no period at the end of that sentence. They are given to details and they easily see problems or errors. And one thing, to help a child who easily sees problems or errors is to learn to overlook things, because a C-wired person just wants everything to the letter. And, you have to learn, to not, if things don't turn out perfectly, to still be happy. And still be ready to go on. A C person needs that reminder. They're overly cautious. They will not take risks. They want to know how everything is going to work out. Still giving an example of my C child, I give them bubble baths from time to time. They do this bubble bath, they have the bath bombs and all that. There was a particular day he was already in the bath having his bubble bath. And then, I brought out the tin of bath bombs and it was just 2 left. And then I gave it to him, to use for that particular bath. And he was like, Mommy, what's going to happen, next Saturday? Because they had the bubble baths every Saturday. What's going on? And I was like, dude, just enjoy the bath. Let me worry about. I will go to the store definitely before weekend and get him a boy. They're like, they want to know everything that would happen. They're overly cautious. They can be critical, and pessimistic and blame others, and they can become very technical. He's the kind of, when he has a younger sister who is, just happy-go-lucky, and so maybe his sister says something, or says maybe like 2 + 2 is equal to 6. He's one that will say, no, that's not the right answer. 2 + 2 is equal to 4, not as in he wants to set everything right. When he was younger, when he was like 3 or so, then honestly, I used to call him Mr. Regulator, because if you do something wrong, he wants to fix it. He wants to make sure that everybody is compliant. The C child is a compliant child. He's compliant. He just wants everything done, to the letter, and they can be pessimistic, because they're quick to see what's wrong. They're quick to see errors and problems. So you have to help that child, nurture that child to also always see the cup, not just as half empty, but as half full, to always also see the bright side of things, and the things that are working, and not just too focused on the things that are not working. So motivate this child, give them opportunity to research something, to analyze, to ask questions. My C child is the one that will say, Mommy, why do we have fingernails? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know why we have fingernails, but and I'm like, what was he even there? I said, how did he even get there? This was when he was like 5 or 6. Why do we have hands? Why do we have legs? He wants to know everything. So, instead of shutting them back, get out of my side, I don't know why we have it. No, you need to encourage them. I like how you always try to do your best. I like, that you like things to be organized. I like that you listen to what others say and feel. I like that you're thinking that way. Okay. And most of the time when he asks all those questions that I don't have an answer to, I just tell him, okay, I'll find out, or let's even find out together. And that excites him. So they are given to, let me give you another funny story with this son of mine. There was a day I was sharing a story with them. I think it was around Christmas. So I was sharing the story of how Jesus was born and all that. And then I was telling them, when the angels that came to the wise men, that there were thousands of angels in the sky. How the Bible says multitude of angels. So I just said there were thousands of angels. Meanwhile, I was using a picture Bible, right? And then they drew angels there. So when I said there were thousands of angels, he just got up from where he was seated and came. And before my very eyes, he counted all the angels on that page. I said, Mommy, there are just 9 angels here. That's my typical Siva, and I'm like, really, dude? I just said it just to make the story sweet, right? The Bible says there were a lot of angels. I said that this is just a small, piece of paper. I couldn't have taken all the angels, but it just tells you how a C-wired child would think. So instead of just getting frustrated, you already understand that this is how this child thinks, and you help them to do better. So, just a recap of their strengths. They are analytical and logical. They are neat and organized. They are creative, concerned. They seek perfection. They are detail-oriented. They are deep thinkers. and they easily see the problems or errors. So the growth areas for this child is to help that child to focus on the positives, because there are more, their tendency is more towards seeing what is wrong and what is negative, and to also accept others who are not perfect. Because for a C-wired person, they're like, they just can't understand, why can't you get it, right? Because, they get it, as in, why can't you just, cover the trash when you open it? Why can't you just, and I'm like that a lot of times. I'm like, why can't you just, just wash your hands, just keep that, as in, what's so difficult in? So, they need to understand that there are other, not everybody has their kind of strengths. Not everybody is detail-oriented as they are, and they need to be more realistic, and they need to learn to encourage themselves and to encourage others, not just others, but themselves. Because, for deep thinkers, you need to manage your self-talk. You need to manage your self-talk for deep thinkers, not to overthink things and not to dwell too much on the negative. And they also need to learn how to speak up more, So, to refresh and to make sure that a D-wired child, I'm trying to do a summary. I've come to the end of my slide. So I'm just trying to do a recap. So, to help a child, for instance, who is D-wired, who has that dominant personality, to help them refresh, they need things to do, right? They need tasks to do. They need things to expend their energy. For the I-wired, they need to be among friends. That's how they refresh. They need to be, doing something fun. For the S person, a lot of times what they maybe just sleep that they need. It took me time, to realize that. And I find out that, taking 10 minutes breaks, 15-minute naps go a long way. My daughter, at times she's just being difficult or misbehaving and all that. And I just say, what, you need to take a nap. At times she was like, oh, no, I don't need to. No, you need to take a nap, because I know that after that 15 to 30 minutes nap, she's good. That's just what she needs to be able to recharge. So, you'll find out that the solutions to many of the problems that you think you have with your child is actually very, very simple. For my son that I said is more I-wired, he just wants to play all the time. And then he did this test that this learning styles. I don't know if anybody's familiar with, but children, they administer it in some schools where you need to know what your learning style is. So his learning style turns out to be, I think, kinesthetic or something like that. So I just went on the internet to go and research, how can you bring up, because this child of mine, you are reading a story to him, you've just finished saying something and you're asking him, what did I say? And he's looking at you like, and I'm like, and I get frustrated. I'm like, so there was one day, as in I was reading the same story. Meanwhile, my C child will give you to you word for word, detail for detail, everything that you just, and I'm like, ooh, that's great, because I have that kind of personality too. Meanwhile, he's like, I can't remember, man. Like, I just said it just now. What were you thinking? And there was a particular that was so frustrated. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why are you not listening? Why are you not? And he was like, Mommy, but I'm trying my best. And he just started to cry. That really, really touched me. So I found, okay, how do you make this child learn best? So you know what? That particular day, immediately said that, and I said, okay, don't worry, don't cry, and all that. I just got a fidget spinner and I gave it to him. I said, okay, start playing with this fidget spinner. I read the same story. By the time I was done, I asked him, he answered all my questions. He just needed something. So, a lot of times, most of the stress that we go through is just because you don't know what to do, or because you just don't understand your child and what works best for a child. So, that you have a child that you read him a story and he remembers it word for word, and you have another one that can't remember anything that, because you are using the same style for both of them, and then it's working for one, it's not working for the other. So instead of getting frustrated, why can't you be like your brother? What is wrong with you? But I read the same story just now and all that. I found out that he needed something more because of the kind of personality that he had. And just that fidget spinner took all the headache out of out of our study session that day. So, just learning to understand who your child is. The C child likes to be, by being on his own, he recharges. By being on his own, let me give you a typical example for me. When I go for a conference, I'm one of those people who will never share a room, a hotel room with anybody at a conference. If you don't know me, you think that, oh, she's proud. She think she has a lot of money? That's why she doesn't. No, but I know that after spending a whole day with people, listening, greeting people, walking people and all that, I'm exhausted. Being with people and all that activity, for the I person, that's where he gets his strength. He wants to be there forever. After that whole day conference, he can go and share room with 5 people and they are gisting through the night, and he's strong. For me as a high S person, after spending the whole day at that conference, I need to be alone for the rest of the night to recharge, to recover for the next. I don't want to talk again. As in, I'm exhausted. I've exhausted my quota. I just want to lie down and maybe watch a movie or do something and just recharge before the next day. So, if you have a child like that, don't like, why are you not talking to other people? Why are you not doing, instead of just shouting and screaming and getting frustrated, when you understand that child, you give that child what they need to make them thrive. You give them the kind of environment that they need, to help them to be everything that God has created them to be. When you are choosing a career, they can be guided as well to play in their areas of strength, not in their areas of struggle, to do things that come naturally to them, so that, with little effort, they are shining. And you're like, you are doing so well and all that. You don't have to play in your areas of struggle, play in your areas of strength. And I believe for us as parents, I'm sure you've been able to identify yourself in at least one of this or two of this personality traits. So you understanding yourself. Like me yesterday when I said, I need a 15-minute break before I can continue this hour play. I need to take a 15-minute break. Let me just lie down and then I'll be ready to play again. I could have, instead of doing that, I would say, okay, let's play. And then maybe they're doing something and it's annoying me and I'm shouting and I'm screaming and I'm spoiling that time together. Do you understand? Because that's what happens a lot of times. The quality time that we should have, we're so frustrated because we don't understand ourselves. We don't understand the children we're dealing with, and we don't understand how to bring out the best in them. So I hope this has helped someone today, to understand, your child's personality and to know what works for them and what won't work for them, and to help them to thrive in their areas of strength while you help them work on the growth areas. So, the next time your child is taking forever to get, your high wire child is taking forever, to get his own work submitted, instead of screaming and doing all that, you can say, what, let's put a timer on your phone, or let's put a calendar on your wall. Let's call your younger sister to hold you accountable, to be reminding you every evening, helping that child, because that's what we are called to do as parents. We are called to nurture, to raise, to teach, to help. It's not supposed to be a frustrating journey for any one of us, once we recognize, what kind of personalities our children have and how best to make them thrive. So thank you. I hope we've been able to get one thing or the other from this morning. Yeah,
Thank you so much, Ife. Thank you. That was so insightful. And I've been looking at the chat room, and a lot of parents have been dropping their comments that are absolutely helpful, very insightful. And so we are moving to the Q&A session, and there's a question already in the chat room. However, parents, please drop your questions. And if you would like to speak, please, you are free to just indicate with a raise of hand or mute your mic and speak. The first question we have in the chat here, a parent is asking, is it possible to possess 2 or more of these personality character traits?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I'm a high S, right? But I'm also a C as well. So I'm an SC. So most people have at least 2 of these personality traits. So, I'm an SC, I'm the steady person who loves to serve and all that, but at the same time, too, I'm very detail oriented. I can overthink things. I'm a deep thinker and all that. So I have both of those high, those characteristics in a high place. There are some people that are like DS or DI, and all that. So just understanding what the traits are and what you can see in your child, it will let you know. But there will be a dominant one. Just like mine is an S, I'm an SSS, but then I have high C as well, yeah. So you can have 2, you can have a mixture of it, yeah.
Thank you very much, thank you. There's another question. The parent is asking, these personality traits, do we address them differently for a girl and a boy child, or is it the same way we try to address them for each gender?
Yeah, I think it's the same. It's the same. Whether you're a boy or a girl, you would fit into one of these personality traits. And, it's just looking at the characteristics. That was why I took some time to describe the behavior. If you see this kind of behavior in your child, you know that child is an S or is an I or is a D or is a C and all that. And then you're able to know how to help that child, how to nurture that child. So, whether a boy or a girl, it just fits into the same, personality types, yeah.
Thank you so much, Ife. Thank you. So parents, do we have more questions? I'm looking at the chat now. I can't see any more questions. Or do we have any parents who would like to speak? Do you have questions? You want to speak to our guest speaker before we end the session? Rosemary, please go ahead. Thank you, Rosemary. Go ahead, please. Rosemary, you can go ahead, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just kept talking. I forgot I was on mute.
Okay.
So good day to everybody. Thank you so much, Ife, for your very insightful discuss. Everything you said is like I totally relate with it. And what you just said now just empowers me to be more patient with my kids, because sometimes I just want to like really pull my hair off and everything. Just trying to like just have that sense of will I say calm and rest, so to say, in between their actions and behaviors. But everything you said this morning makes total sense to me now. So it's going to like really empower me to be more patient, more understanding, and more tolerant, and be more willing to put in the work.
Exactly.
Get a better understanding of, what their personalities are and all that. So thank you so much for this. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Like I said at the beginning, it's just taking the stress out of your parenting, moving your family from family stressed to family best. Because and it works for spouses as well. Once you understand, your spouse's personality, I'm like, okay, like the example I gave, my husband for the longest time could not understand, why would you be serving other people, even when you are tired? But I'm like, it's that serving that gives me strength, that helps me, to recharge and all that. So it just kind of just removes the stress from your relationships here. So I think there's a question.
Yes, there's a question here in the chat. How do you encourage a C-wired 16-year-old in choosing a career? He doesn't know what he wants to do, He doesn't know what he wants to do. So how do you encourage a teenager, a 16-year-old, to choose a career? Yes.
Okay. Just like I said earlier, not being able to make decisions on time is one of the growth areas that a C-wired and even an S-wired have to work on. So you just have to encourage him to keep on making that decision. You have to be patient. Now that you know that he's not just being irresponsible because another parent, what is wrong with you? All your friends, they know what they want to do. Why can't you make up your mind? Instead of getting frustrated with his inability to make a decision, now you understand that is just part of the growth areas of his personality. It's just the kind of personality that he has. And so you will be more patient with him, and you have to just keep on encouraging him that you need to make a decision. What do you like to do? What do you, like a C-wired person is very detail-oriented, is a deep thinker. You can give examples, do you want to be maybe a financial analyst, an accountant, a lawyer, depending on what, maybe the child is in sciences or in arts or whatever, just kind of have these conversations with him, and let him know he needs to make a decision. I continue to encourage him that he needs to make a decision. He needs to make it. What are the things that interest him? What are the things that make him happy? What are the things that he enjoys doing? What are the things I remember when I was starting my career? One of the questions that my mentor asked me is that what is one thing that you would do even if they didn't pay you? That you would still love to do it. You want to make sure that your child plays in their areas of strength. You don't want them to go into college and, they're changing their course, their majors in the first, second year, they can't even find themselves. And you don't want them to do something that will not make them happy as well, that will not make them fulfilled. So, just keep on encouraging him, and just challenging him, that you need to make that decision. You need to make that decision. And, it's just encouragement and nurturing that child needs until he makes that decision. And it's not a one-off thing. Even if after he makes this decision, these college decisions, he will still have, so many other decisions to make. So just keep on encouraging him not to be afraid of to always put action, to his passion. That's one growth area for I gave an example of myself, even something as simple as buying something online. It will take me weeks before I make up my mind at times to eventually buy that thing. And in this era of inflation, it has cost me a lot of money as well, because by the time I go back to now make my decision, the price has changed or something. So, you just have to keep on, working on it. You have to keep on working on it. There are no perfect people anywhere, but when you understand your strengths and you understand your weakness, your growth areas, you play in your area of strength. You know, that's what makes you look good at everything you do. But then you know you have growth areas, and you keep on working on those growth areas until you are able to overcome them. So, you know, for growth areas, I need to mention this. For when you're working on your growth areas, right? You know, I mentioned something about playing your area of strength. Still keep on playing in your area of strength. Don't play in your areas of weaknesses. You know, like this C-wired person now, you know, he's working on being able to make decisions fast and being able to put action to, but you're not going to make him in charge of something, you know, that has to do with maybe a lot of decision making, and he needs, no, you are not going to, it's putting him under pressure, right? While he's working on his growth, let him still continue to play in his areas of strength. He loves to research, he loves to find out things, you know, he loves to read a lot of times, he loves details, you know, so keep on pushing him towards his area of strength while he's working on his growth areas.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that applies to all the other personality types as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Oluwatosin, you raised your hand. Do you want to speak, or do you like me to just go ahead and read the question out? You can speak if you want to speak, so you can explain and give context to your question. Okay, let me just read it out. How do you help your child with anger issues and being bossy on his siblings? It's affecting his academics as well, affecting him academically. So he has a child. How do you help the child?
Okay, so, you know, when a child has anger issues or any issue whatsoever, and some children have issues with maybe greed or maybe laziness or whatever, any weakness that a child has, you want to look beyond, you know, the display, the behavior. You want to look at the heart behind that behavior. You know, I'm one person who is very, very big on heart-based parenting, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. As a man thinks in his heart, so he is. When a child is displaying so much anger, you want to find out what's the underlying cause of that anger. You know, why is he always angry? What's going on with him? What's going on in his heart? So I would encourage this parent to please, you know, you need to draw that child close, right? You need to draw that child close. You need to know why he's so angry. You need to know what's making him angry. You know, because I deal with children all the time, right? And I've had situations, let me give you an example. I had a child, you know, who just said he wasn't going to go home. That particular day, said he doesn't want to go home with his mom. He doesn't want to go home. I'm like, no, what's going on with this child? As in, this is not normal. You know, what's happening with this child? So, you know, and you know, the way he clung to me, as in he held my hand, like, no, he's not going. So I said, okay, no problem. Sit with me, stay with me and all that, you know, gave him food, gave him pizza, gave him juice. You are fine. And then I called his mom. You know, I'm like, what's going on with this child? As in, why doesn't he want to go home with you? What's going on? He said he's angry all the time. He's so angry. Is this, is that? Why is he angry? Why is he angry? You know, because you don't just say the child is angry, I don't know what's wrong with him and all that. No. Like I said earlier on, unless a child has a mental problem, which many children do not have, a child can't just be misbehaving. There is something going on with that child that you need to find out. I know this woman just kept on talking. When he was talking, she was talking about the child. I'm like, are you talking about your child or your enemy? You know, because the way he was describing the child, actually, you don't know this child. Though. He's very this, he's very cunning. He's a sweet talker. He will do this. And I'm like, I don't like where this is coming from. I don't like, you know, I don't like this conversation. You know, so one of the challenges that I gave, so I said, can you do something for me for 1 week? You know, she checks in with me. I told her you have to check in with me every week. But for the next 1 week, I need you to love this child unconditionally, irrespective of what he does. I need you to just love on him. She looked at me as if I asked her to go and jump off the bridge. I said, because a lot of times, parents, that the example I gave earlier, your kind of like affection and belief in your child, if you're not careful, it kind of reduces with every weakness and every challenge you're experiencing with that child. As in, you kind of, the affection and the passion and the love kind of wins, but that shouldn't be it. So, you know, a child can't just be angry all the time. There's something going on with him. You need to love this child. I need you, you know, to just love on this child for the next 1 week. And just try and get into his heart. You need to get into his heart to see and that I always encourage parents, when a child talks, don't just listen to the words. Listen to the heart that produced those words. There is a heart that produced those words, because out of the abundance of the heart is what the mouth speaks. there is something going on in that child's heart that you need to be aware of. You need to be aware of his belief system. Because every time these children, they are developing their belief system, they are developing, you know, their mindsets. So you need to know why this child is angry. He may probably be a dewired child who just likes to be in charge and all that, but then his weaknesses or his growth areas are showing more, you know, than his strengths. So his strengths need to be acknowledged, and his strengths need to be, you know, to be nurtured, while his weaknesses would also, you know, be not. Like I said, for a dewired child, they just think about themselves. They put the task over the people. They are not people-oriented kids or people. So you need to encourage this child to think about others. You need to encourage this child to do something for others. You know, typically tell this child, maybe on a Sunday, that, you know what, think of one good thing that you're going to do for your siblings this week. You know, that's a practical way of encouraging me to think of others. You know, think of one good thing you are going to do for mommy this week. Think for one good thing you're going to do for daddy this week. You know, just helping that child to come out of himself, of just thinking about himself and just wanting everybody to be on his side. If you're not on his side, there is trouble. You know, I see these children all the time that they are just like that. And if you neglect them, they grew up into becoming monsters. Trust me. You know, this 4-year-old I was talking about, as in, she's unbelievable. As in, she does not care. As in, it's that bad. So, you know, you need to work on it. You need to work on this. Is something that is very, very serious, should not be ignored. You need to find out why that child is angry. You know, if there are other issues going on inside of him, you need to find out, you know, what's going on. And then you need to encourage him to be kind. You need to encourage him to think about others. You need to encourage him to do something good for his siblings, for his family, for other people. And then you'll see how that will help him, you know, to become better. Yeah. I hope I answered your question. Okay.
Thank you, Faye. Thank you so much. Do we have any more questions? Oluwatosin, please, if you have more questions around that, you can unmute your mic and please speak, so our guest speaker can address it. However, if you still want a private session, please send an email. I'll just drop this email here and we'll connect you with our guest speaker. Our email address is supermomseries@gmail.com. So if you want to have a private session with our guest speaker, please, we'll be very happy to connect you with her. Thank you so much. Do we have more questions, parents? I can't see any more hands raised, and I can't see any question in the chat room. So I think we've addressed all the questions for now. Thank you so much, everyone. Before we close,
I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I've learned a lot from it. Thank you. So I want to find out, how do you address, or maybe to get your opinion about a child that is overly friendly? Okay, let me give you an instance. It was during a particular social event. My 4-year-old daughter went round, you know, to give everybody a peck, right? And if we are going on the road, for instance, she sees a stranger, she's very quick to greeting, very quick to hugging, pecking people, right? So I just want to hear from you, being an expert, how do you think we can curb this? We can encourage her to, you know, to manage this. Thank you very much. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, you are. Yeah. That's a very, very good question. She's probably a high-wired child, you know, that just loves people and is just, you know, but because of her age, you know, she doesn't understand boundaries yet and all that. So you just, you help her by communicating, by letting her know. You know, a lot of times we underestimate how developed our kids are and their capacity to understand. A lot of times we don't teach them because we think they can't understand, but she can understand. She's 4, right? So you just let her know that, you know what, when you see people, you know, I like it that you're friendly. I like it that you want to make friends with everybody. But, you know, I'm hoping that you've started talking to her about your bodies being personal and all that. I believe every parent, by the time a child is like 2, you should start talking to them about body parts and about, you know, keeping things private and all that. So, you know, if you've been doing that, you know, by this time now, that you can see she's doing that, you can just tell her, I like that you're friendly. I like that you say hello to everybody. That's really good. It's so good to be friendly, right? But then when we're greeting people, we just wave to them, or we just give them a high five, or we just shake them, or sometimes we hug them, but we don't peck them, right? Just tell her to stop. That's it. And just keep on encouraging her. When she does it another time, don't say, but I've been there, don't shout and all that. Just when you have a time alone with her, talk to her again. Talk to her again and let her know that, what, don't do that. Don't do that. Remember what we said. We greet people with high fives, with shakes. We sometimes hug them, but we don't peck people, right? We just peck mommy and daddy and all that. You just keep on telling her until she gets it. But trust me, she can understand. So if you let her know, in a friendly way, not like she's in trouble, but, just an example of the way I just said it now, just have those conversations with her, and I'm sure she will get it. She will, at 4, she will understand. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Any more questions before we close the session, parents? Do you have any other question? Thank you. It has been so insightful. Please, a quick announcement before we leave. Like we said earlier, like I said at the beginning, we bring these sessions to our parents free. The sessions are free, completely free. However, we need some support. If you would like to volunteer to be part of the team, there's a team behind every session. There's a team that is working hard to get to the topics, get across to the guest speakers, do research on issues that are burning per time, and also ensure that we send invitations out to our parents, get in touch with our parents, and work on the recording, the media beat, the graphics for publicity and all that. Please, if you would like to volunteer to be a part of our team, of our organizing team, kindly send an email to SuperMoms Series. I've dropped the email in the chat room, supermomseries@gmail.com. We'll be very happy. You have skill sets that you want to volunteer to support us with. We'll be very happy to have you on board. Thank you very much, parents. It's been very insightful. Thank you so much, Ife, for your time. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening, parents, or afternoon. It depends on where you are. Some parents joined us from different parts of the world. Thank you so much. Have a very good day. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.